Tonight we're going to be talking about Alec Baldwin. He has apparently scored a major victory. A major victory. He has gotten his gun enhancement dropped on his involuntary manslaughter charge. That was the gun enhancement would have added a mandatory 5-year penalty. And now they've beaten that. That was a major chip in the bargaining pool for the state against Alec Baldwin, because likely he's gonna have a plea deal on this. And that was the threat. Hey, we can put you in jail for 5 years, ass bag. Now I think the penalty is like 18 months. So I don't know how you get involuntary manslaughter that doesn't involve a firearm with Alec Baldwin. Like, I'm not sure how this particular bullet-inflicted manslaughter doesn't involve a firearm sufficient for the statute that they drop it. I don't know, but that's what has happened. New Mexico prosecutors downgrade charges against Alec Baldwin in the Rust shooting. Well, I'm really happy that my movie Supercell will be doing really well, and I want to promote Rust. Prosecutors in New Mexico have downgraded the involuntary manslaughter charges against actor Alec Baldwin in the fatal shooting of cinematographer Hala Hutchins on the Rust movie set in October 21. Court documents filed on Friday. Do they have the documents? Please. Oh, thank God. Show that Baldwin still faces one count of involuntary manslaughter, a 4th-degree felony that carries a sentence of 18 months in prison. So yeah, we go from 5 years down to 18 months. But prosecutors have removed what's known as a firearm enhancement, a part of the criminal code that extends prison sentences when firearms are involved in the commission of a crime. How? Decision comes more than a week after the actor's legal team disputed the enhancements charge in filings. Unlawful enhancement. Okay, we're gonna take a look at this motion. This will be exciting. Arguing the prosecutors had committed an unconstitutional and legal error by charging Mr. Baldwin under a statute that did not exist under the state of the accident. Changes to New Mexico's firearm enhancement law took effect in March 2022. The current version of the law calls for 5 additional years of prison time in cases in which a firearm was discharged in the commission of certain felonies. Baldwin's lawyers have pointed out the Rush shootings took place in 2021, about 6 months before the changes took effect. Under the previous version of the law, an enhancement of 3 years would only apply when a gun had been brandished, which would have required prosecutors to prove an intent to intimidate or injure. Wow. Wow. Oh, my God. In a statement to NPR on Monday, Heather Brewer, a spokeswoman for the New Mexico 1st District Attorney, said the decision to drop the firearm enhancement was made to expedite the case in order to avoid further litigious distractions by Mr. Baldwin and his attorneys. The district attorney and special prosecutor have removed the firearm enhancement to the involuntary manslaughter charges in the death of Hala Hutchins, Helena Hutchins on the Rust film set. That woman. She added, the prosecution's priority is securing justice, not securing billable hours for big city attorneys. Oh, but isn't justice serviced by securing the enhancement? Like, isn't that justice? I cannot believe it. The same charges have also been dropped against film's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, faces the same involuntary manslaughter charges as Baldwin. Baldwin's expected to make his first court appearance on Friday. Let's take a peek at this legal argument. Prosecutors in this case have committed an unconstitutional and elementary legal error by charging Mr. Baldwin under a statute that did not exist on the date of the accident. The information states that the second alternative count of involuntary manslaughter shall be enhanced pursuant to the firearm enhancement statute. But at the time of the accident, the firearm enhancement statute applied only when a firearm was brandished in the commission of a non-capital felony. It defined brandished to mean displaying or making a firearm known to another person while the firearm is present on the person of the offending party with the intent to intimidate or injure a person. They got an argument. They've got an argument, that's for sure. The government's statement of probable cause contains no allegation that Mr. Baldwin acted with intent to intimidate or injure a person. And its description of the alleged conduct makes clear the tragic death of Helena Hutchins was an accident. Thus, it appears that the government intended to charge the current version of the firearm enhancement statute, which was not enacted until May 18, 2022, 7 months after the incident. Version no longer requires the defendant brandish a firearm, instead imposing a 5-year additional sentence when a firearm was discharged. in the commission of a non-capital felony. But under the ex post facto clause of the U.S. And New Mexico constitutions, as well as basic principles of statutory interpretation, that version of the statute could not apply to the conduct that occurred before it was enacted. Accordingly, that enhancement should not be bound over. Application of the current version of the statute would be unconstitutionally retroactive, and the government has no legitimate basis to charge Mr. Baldwin under the version of the statute that existed at the time of the accident. That's a good fucking argument. Did Nick just say they changed the law to suit the wealthy elite? No. Actually, let me be very clear on this. I agree much more with the original statute than the new statute. The old version of the statute required the state to prove intent to point a fire, to show someone a firearm with the purposes of intimidating them or causing them fear, brandishing. The new statute just says if anything occurs, a non-capital felony occurs, and you discharge a firearm in the process, any non-capital felony in which a firearm is discharged, you get a 5-year enhancement. I prefer the original version of the bill. New Mexico has implemented a shittier law, in my opinion. I think the state should always have to prove intent on things. So I like the old version of the statute. They didn't change that for the wealthy elite. If anything, I mean, they made the statute broader and it would encompass more people, and it would have encompassed Baldwin. But I think they had already passed the statute at the time of the accident. It just hadn't taken effect yet. The ex post facto, you cannot apply laws ex post facto. There can be no bill of attainder. A law can, the reason they have this, right, is they cannot change a law because the person that did the thing is someone they don't like and they want to punish them. They were very concerned about this. They were very concerned that a person or a group of persons would be engaged in an activity. Congress would then go make that activity illegal, going backwards in time to do so, and then catch up otherwise lawful activity as unlawful, as criminal, and then punish people for it. The reason they were scared of this is because that's what monarchs did. So you can't actually do that. I mean, you can change the law whenever you want and have the effective date be whatever. And some laws do get a retroactive effective date. But if it's a criminal prosecution, you always have an argument against an ex post facto constitutional violation. That seems to be what happens here. Mr. Baldwin respectfully requests that the court decline to bind over the firearm enhancement. Even taking the government's allegations as true solely for the sake of this motion, those allegations do not meet the statute's requirements. On the date of this accident, firearm enhancement statute applied only if Mr. Baldwin brandished a firearm during the commission of the offense. Statute's definition of brandish required an acting with intent to intimidate or injure a person. The government has not even alleged that he acted with such an intent. Now, could they allege that he acted with intent? Sure. They could allege that he was showing that gun with the intent to intimidate or injure. But they would have to they get bogged down in proving state of mind, the state of mind of intent. And that would be a really, really hard thing to do. I'm surprised that this is the thing. I didn't read this. I grabbed the story and I figured it was the same shit that everybody else figured. Oh, preferential treatment for, former A-list celebrity. So he gets this thing, liberal prosecutor, liberal Democrat, Alec Baldwin. It turns out he's just going to get the benefit of not having the enhancement. What does this mean? I mean, we don't have to sit here and belabor this story too long. What this means for Alec Baldwin is that the state now has an absolutely terrible deck of cards going into plea negotiations. Alec Baldwin is likely a first-time offender, specifically he may have a DUI or two somewhere, who knows, he's a celebrity, but he's probably a first-time offender in the state of New Mexico. I'm guessing he's not going to have a felony criminal record in the state of New Mexico. So what they're going to have is just this one charge with a maximum penalty of 18 months. Even if he gets convicted, he's not going to get the 18 months. The only thing that was really threatening Alec Baldwin was this enhancement. So now they're going to go to him and they're going to be like, well, here's your plea agreement. And I'm guessing he's going to get a sweet deal. 6 months to 1 year probation. No same or similars. No possession of a firearm during the probationary period. Maybe even downgrading it to a gross misdemeanor or a misdemeanor to preserve his gun rights, because his gun rights are going to be complicated when he's on set with any sort of gun involvement for any role. That'll be a complicating factor. So I bet that he'll have, 12 months probation as a plea agreement, no jail time, significant community service, maybe 50 to 100 hours of community service, something like that. He'll have to record some gun safety stuff maybe for Sesame Street. I don't know what the fuck they'll have him do, but he'll do some sort of gun safety program. He's not going to spend any time in jail. And then his gun rights will actually probably be fully restored after that 6 to 12 months. That's my guess. So yeah, I mean, I don't think we really need to do much. Their argument was we can look at this real quick. So the following chart reproduces the relevant language of the two statutes. So firearm enhancement statute, date of the accident. When a separate finding of fact by the court or jury shows that the firearm was brandished in the commission of a non-capital felony, basic sentence of imprisonment prescribed for the offense in section 31-1815 shall be increased by 3 years. As used in this section, brandish means displaying or making a firearm known to another person while the firearm is present on the person of the offending party with intent to intimidate or injure a person. So there you go. I mean, they nailed that argument just fine. Firearm enhancement statute as amended on May 18th, when a separate finding of fact by the court or jury shows that a firearm was discharged in the commission of a non-capital felony, the basic sentence of imprisonment prescribed for the offense shall be increased by 5 years. So wait a minute, but this is interesting though. What is section C in the old statute? Luckily, I think I can look it up. NMSA 31-18-16. That's what we're looking for. Boom. All right. So section C, the thing that bothered me about this, I just wanted to check, was that if you saw here, we had section A and D, and then the new one is section C. So I wanted to see what the other section was. And here we go. Here's the old version of the statute. So here's A, here's C. If the case is tried before a jury, and if a prima facie case has been established showing that a firearm was brandished in the commission of the offense, the court shall submit the issue to the jury by special interrogatory. Case tried by the court, prima facie has been established showing the firearm was brandished during the commission. Court shall decide the issue and shall make a separate finding of fact thereon. So here's, all correct. For second or subsequent non-capital felony in which firearm is brandished. Brandish is the only language here. They don't have discharged on it. So they've got it. This is they're correct in their argument and their assessment. Baldwin, as much as Baldwin's a dirtbag and he did fucking kill someone, I mean, the statute that he's under needs to be the statute at the time of the offense, not a statute that's modified later and applied backwards. So Alec Baldwin, he just gets to walk. I mean, he's going to walk on this. There's no way they're going to take this shit to trial. It's a shit case to take to trial at this point, because even if they win, they're going to get 180. They're going to get 18 months, but they're not going to get 18 months. They're going to get 6 months, maybe in county, but that's only if they go to trial and win. They're not going to, and they're going to plead all sorts of shit. Alec Baldwin's public figure, be very extra dangerous to put him in. House arrest is more appropriate, blah, 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 blah. There's no way Alec Baldwin's going to jail in New Mexico. No way. It would have been funny, but it's not happening. All right. That's the breaking news on Alec Baldwin. And it's really unfortunate, because it would be nice to see him punished for his criminal act in the way everybody else would be. But in a weird way, he is getting punished in the way that other people are, because he's under the appropriate statute. Now, he's still going to get preferential treatment, right? If you, in the same date, went out and just blam, 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 and blasted some, just iced some chick on accident, you're not fucking getting away with this. You're not going to get away with this, but Alec Baldwin will. So pour out another bag of bow, more of the Freud. Spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass
we hear lost planning tonight. From the white shores of Nan to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the thought better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the love of